Another belief system which must be unlearned and changed if you want to truly heal is Louis Pasteur's germ theory of disease, a theory which has been drilled into our brains since primary school and under which the modern-day medical system continues to operate. The truth is that Louis Pasteur was actually a fraud, and his germ theory of disease entirely false. But nevertheless, he and his theory are celebrated and endorsed by the modern-day medical establishment and Big Pharma because his germ theory of disease lays the foundation for synthetic drugs, chemotherapy, radiation, the surgical removal of body parts, and vaccines to become the treatments of choice. If they had not brainwashed everybody since primary school to believe in this lie and this fraudulent theory, the people would never consent. They would never consent to being poisoned with these so-called treatments. What you've probably never heard of is the cellular theory of disease, which was put forth by a contemporary of Louis Pasteur by the name of Antoine Béchamp. Béchamp's theory of disease was the correct one, but because it posed a great threat to the pockets of those who owned the medical industrial complex at the time, it was ridiculed and quickly discarded. According to Béchamp's cellular theory of disease, germs or pathogens are not to be feared because they are not the cause of disease. Germs are everywhere. We have coexisted with bacteria, viruses, and parasites for as long as we have existed on this planet. He stated that the strength of your defense will determine if you get sick or not. And it makes a whole lot of sense. Think about it. If the pathogen is indeed the cause of disease, according to Pasteur and the modern-day medical establishment, then everyone who is exposed to the same pathogen should get sick. But this is never the case. When an entire household or an entire workplace is exposed to the flu, for example, not all of the members or employees succumb to the flu. How is it that my dog can lick the dirtiest roads, lick and sniff the pee and poop of other dogs, chew on an old bone with decaying flesh and bacteria all over it, and never get sick? In this so-called pandemic, for example, everyone has been exposed to the virus, but only a few have died from it. A tiny few. The answer is clear. Pathogens, bacteria, and viruses do not cause disease. The determining factor of disease is the condition of the host, as Béchamp described. The condition of your immune system, of your biochemistry, your nutritional status, your microbiome, your toxicity levels, your body's oxygen levels, your body's pH, the acidity of your body, the purity of every cell of your body, etc. In the words of the father of modern-day pathology, Dr. Rudolf Virchow, if I could live my life over again, I would devote it to proving that germs seek their natural habitat, diseased tissue, rather than being the cause of dead tissue. In other words, mosquitoes seek the stagnant water, but do not cause the pool to become stagnant. When I was a kid, I watched a movie in the theaters called Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman and Cuba Gooding Jr. I kid you not, I was traumatized after watching that film because I couldn't stop imagining, visualizing virus particles everywhere in the air. And for the following weeks, I was having nightmares of virus outbreaks and monkeys. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. After watching that film, I became a firm believer in their infectious disease model. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how they condition our minds since childhood through Hollywood. And it took me many, many years of unlearning and re-educating myself in the natural health sciences to break free from that false paradigm. There is very little control to be had and money to be made if people wake up to the true theory of disease, and this is why Béchamp's theory continues to be suppressed, and any practitioner who promotes it is ridiculed and persecuted by the modern-day medical establishment. But now that you have been made aware of the real theory of disease, you can focus your efforts and your resources in the right direction, and this is literally going to save you so many years of trial and error, of money lost, of frustration on your healing journey. The vast majority have fallen for the modern day medical approach of fighting the disease or fighting the infection with toxic drugs, chemotherapy, surgery, etc., which is a lost battle, because if the terrain remains unchanged, the infection will return, the tumor will return, your symptoms will return, but even more aggressively, because with all of these treatments, your body is now more toxic, more acidic, more diseased. The truth of any matter is always simple and easy to understand. The science of health is actually quite simple. But those in power have complicated it, because by complicating the science of health and healing, you will never heal. You will remain sick, and trillions are made off of your and everybody's perpetual ignorance and sickness.